Welcome back to HR Office Hours. I am your host, Maddie, and I am delighted to have Vanna Winland with us today. And Vanna and I became professionally acquainted when I kept coming across her AI inspired writings and blogs, particularly a topic titled AI Backlash is an old creative argument in new clothes. And it really intrigued me. And as I read it, as someone who enjoys writing and creative activities as well, I was like, Vanna and I need to have a conversation. So I reached out and she was gracious enough to say, yeah, I'd love to chat. So, Vanna, I want you to tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about your background and what we are going to talk about today about quieting the noise around AI and maybe quieting our fears a little bit too. But tell us about
All
you
right.
first.
Thank you so much, Maddie. Thank you for having me today. Even if we weren't recording, I just love talking to you. But yeah, no, I work in developer relations. And to put that simply, I help people use and understand technology. And I kind of do that in really a myriad of ways, but a lot of it is through technical content. And I currently work with IBM on their technical content team as an AI advocate, and we make tutorials, explainers, and videos, all sorts of resources for anyone who's trying to learn about AI.
And when we were talking, one of the things that really resonated with me as someone who keeps telling herself I'm not really technically
Mhm.
inclined is that a value that you shared with me is that you like to make things easily understandable and accessible.
I definitely try to do that in my work as much as possible. I feel like for the past 2.5 years, I've been doing a lot of research and been in the weeds and a lot of technical new things, just constantly learning that sometimes I feel like I don't know anything at all. So I've been taking this time to unpack and understand a lot of the early research that I've been doing for a while and connecting that to the perspectives that I'm noticing just from the people in my life who are coming up to me and kind of a little concerned or asking questions about AI. And I really think I feel like a sort of responsibility to stop and kind of set the record straight to ease some of the tension by lowering that barrier of entry to technical knowledge.
Yeah, and that's what kind of brought
Yeah.
us here. There was this line in this old song. I don't even remember what it is, but it was like, speak a little softer so I can hear you above the noise,
Yes.
the noise, the noise. And that's where I feel we're at. Everywhere we go, everywhere we read an article, AI this, AI
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
LLMs and agents and prompts and all of this. And it feels a little overwhelming,
Mhm.
even if you have a lot of ability and aptitude in these areas. It's just a lot coming at
Yeah.
us.
No, I agree. I think even if you are a technical person, it's so hard to keep up and truly understand what the technology is capable of and where we should be using it and where it should fit into society. I actually had an English degree. So before I even got started in the tech industry, I actually don't have any technical background besides the personal projects and courses that I've taken. So I guess it gives me kind of a unique perspective, like stepping into this tech world where I felt just growing up, I both a creative person, but I also enjoy science and technology. It's always felt like conflicting my interests because sometimes it seems like the perceptions of technology is like you have to be this super intelligent person that's good at math. And that's not true. I think it's interesting to be able to take all of this jargon and communicate it in ways across audiences.
Yes. Yes. And that also reminds me of the one quote from the article that I mentioned, which of course I'll link is that tools amplify intent, they don't replace
Yeah.
it. That one just like jumped out at me so forcefully. I don't know what it was about that line specifically that kind of eased my fears a little bit because when you get overwhelmed with all of this input, and with information and I don't know, forces. And when you don't understand it, you become fearful. Maybe fearful because you don't know how is it going to behave? How is it going to impact you? What's going to happen if you don't know how to use it, if you can't implement it, if it goes rogue. But the fact that you stated it amplifies the intent, and the intent is from, at least that's what I took away from it, we're the ones setting that up. It isn't the technology. We have all this information coming at us. It can create this anxiety and fear, especially how I took that line was the intent is really coming from the human. And so there is some safety there. That's a part that can't be replaced because it comes from us. I don't know. That gave me the warm and fuzzy a little bit.
Okay, great.
In a way that I hadn't really thought about it, because it feels like sometimes with this fear, with this noise, that it's two extremes of AI is taking over everything, all of our jobs, all of our tasks, or I could use it for everything and I can do nothing and I can give everything up. I don't even have to think.
Yeah.
So what's the reality?
So yeah, I would never want to tell anyone how to feel about it. And I think both extremes do have some valid points. So on the fear end, sometimes I hear the sci-fi rooted ones that are like, oh my gosh, you're going to create the Terminator. Or my father-in-law has mentioned the Space Odyssey to me. You know, those kind of fears. And then there's also the fear that, is this going to devalue my work? Am I going to lose my job to AI? That's fair. The other side, where we should use AI for everything, I don't think those people really take into account that the AI is really good at generating and producing content, but it can't be responsible for what it's outputting. You can't hold a computer accountable for what it's outputting, really, because what are you going to do? Arrest the computer? So I think you need to have agreed upon regulations and governance, I think, before we can really verify what the AI is telling us in the first place.
It sure would be neat, though, if we could just give a lot of the things, we just give it over.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do it.
Please. Yeah. It's great as like a first draft tool. I use it as more of an assistant in my work. I don't trust its output at all. And I think it's kind of, for me, it's fun because I love research. So I'm always like, how did you get that answer? Or I'll copy and paste. I'm like, what is this from exactly? Or find me the source to this information you're giving me. And sometimes the model will be super honest and say, hey, actually, I did just make that up out of nowhere. Here's the actual information you should be going off of. If you are anxious about AI, just using it in that way will kind of help you see where it's good and where it's not. And I think you'll realize that it's not as intelligent as, some people want you to believe. It's a great resource, though.
It is a great resource. I've been having, these were two separate conversations that I've had in the last week or so. One was, again, this whole concept of nothing new. And I think you and I had this conversation too about garbage in, garbage out, right?
Okay.
Like you still need to be mindful of that, of it's only giving us back what it's already received in some way.
Yeah.
That's one. But the other day I was sitting in a AI related webinar, and the facilitator said that AI handles complexity, but humans handle creativity.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I like
I
that.
wrote it down just so that I could share that with you
That's
during this
awesome.
conversation, because that is so true. We can ask it, we can create the prompt of like, help me with this convention that I'm putting together, but it's still up to me as someone who wants this event for collaboration to happen, to come together in some way, to build community, to do it in a creative way, to make it an experience. AI cannot do that for me.
No. Yeah, I agree. I love that. The ideas, even if you're, well, if I'm using it for writing, which is, a creative task, I think it's definitely, it's coming from your head, your ideas that you're inputting to it. One thing I have is when I'm writing is I constantly have a lot of thread running in my head at the same time. And sometimes I just need to dump all that information out to make sense and hopefully recognize a pattern or something like a thread worth pulling on. And that's what AI has been really helpful doing, because otherwise those ideas are just kind of swarming around in my head. But I don't think the AI is creating that. It's not being creative. It's not giving me those ideas. Those ideas are already mine. They're just helping me map them to other information or perspectives that might back it.
Yes, yes. And you said it's a good resource for doing that. And of course, we have to tie that into, okay, we still have to sort the information and figure out what's accurate, what's not. So how do we tie in our critical thinking hat to that as we're doing that?
Yeah.
Well, it's getting pretty good, and it's getting hard to decipher what is real, what is not in some ways with some of the things that we're seeing and getting back. How do we do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I don't think that AI definitely doesn't reduce the need for critical thinking. I think it reduces the need for some types of mental labor, like sorting, like
Oh,
information processing. That's what it's good at. It's good at taking a large set of data and helping you organize and recognize patterns and processing that information. And that's something it's not a new problem. Data scientists and knowledge workers have been working with this problem their whole careers. I think arguably generative AI has probably made that problem worse because there's so much data that now they have to sift through and figure out, okay, where are the actual real signals within this? And that's one thing that it is good at. And one thing that I would say probably most people don't want to do. At my old job, I worked very closely with marketing and product. And we had this running joke where we would talk about oh, AI is going to solve all your time consuming, tedious tasks. A little alliteration, because that's kind of what it's good for, just those little time consuming tasks. But no, the critical thinking part, though, is what you take with that information and use in your work. That hopefully is you're verifying at the same time.
yes, like the old concept of trust but verify. I mean, that is not something that we can give up regardless of the tool, the resource, the task. We still need to do that part. And that is a key part of leadership and management. No matter where you are, no matter what your job is, we work really hard at trying to give the part that actually needs to still exist, even in the midst of all this fear of AI might take our job. Do we want it to take our job? Because that is the one part that, at least in the foreseeable future, it really cannot. It's not meant or set up, or no one is really looking for it to do that.
Right.
Doesn't seem that we're quite there.
I don't think the majority know.
And so do we want it to? I'm perplexed by that.
Yeah.
You were sharing something else that I had not heard. Collective intelligence concept. You were sharing that with me. You need to tell us more about this. Tell us more for those of us like me who are not very familiar.
Sure. So collective intelligence is something that I came upon while I was researching something for an early multi-agent framework, which is just a bunch of LLMs that work together to solve a task, basically. But collective intelligence came up because that was what one of the frameworks was kind of trying to study. So I paused and I said, I was like you, I didn't know what a collective intelligence was. But it's a concept, like a group of people who are skilled, using their experience and knowledge, working together on a shared goal, will usually come up with that faster than it would just one specialist alone working on the same task. So that's collective intelligence, just a group of people working together to solve something.
And as you were sharing that, I said, well, yes, I've heard this before, just called as crowdsourcing. And then I said, have you ever seen the show on Netflix called Diagnosis? And then we got into this conversation about these have been around forever, just some
Mhm.
iteration. It used to just be on the telephone, or even something as simple as, I'm really looking for this sweatshirt with this pink bunny on it, and I can't find it anywhere.
Mhm.
And maybe you put it out on Facebook back in 2010, and everyone shared that one post. If anyone finds this sweatshirt with the pink bunny, can you let Maddie know? Because she's really desperately looking for it. But it's basically the same concept,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we're just doing it differently now and just gathering all of that information
Mhm.
in some different ways. Like you mentioned earlier, is we're able to organize this information more effectively and efficiently, but like at the speed of light, right?
Yeah, too much. Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought you're tying it back to that next Netflix show Diagnosis. I looked into that. So I was like, what is this? And then when I read the description, I was like, that is literally the same concept in AI. But I kind of thought of like, okay, you're the individual. Like you're the doctor using the AI that's using all the information from the internet, which also it's all of the information from the internet, which means it's all true, right? So yeah.
Oh,
Right.
well, yes.
So
That is
that's your partner. I mean, that's something that, yeah, to definitely think of when you're using AI. So it's not like the show where people are calling or getting information from their shared experiences. It's just all of the information.
all of the information. On a somewhat could be humorous or could be super serious. No, we're seeing a lot of fraud as
Mhm.
well as security issues that are arising. It seems like every other day or more frequently, we have these issues come up. I see a lot of TikTok reels on this or videos or news stories on AI generated videos for people selling fraudulent
Mhm.
products. A year ago, you could tell, oh, that's AI. This is
Mhm.
fake. Now, Grandpa's wallet shop that's going out of business looks pretty real.
Yeah, yeah. It's
He's been making those wallets by hands for 45 years, and he's selling them for 24.95.
yeah, get yours today.
And you gotta help him out so he can retire. But those videos, Vanna, they look pretty real.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not gonna lie. I think it was the bunnies originally. I don't know if you've ever seen, but they were like all jumping on the trampoline. That got me.
Yes.
The original one got. I didn't realize it was AI until I saw like one with like a bear, and then one with a deer, and I'm like, hold on a minute, this is sketchy. That's not real. I bet the bunnies were fake, and yeah, the bunnies are fake. It's actually crazy to witness some of this. I get duped sometimes, and I work with this stuff. Yeah, the audio and the visual technology has come such a long way. And it's honestly, I feel like we don't appreciate, unless you're like a scientist or a builder, you don't really appreciate it. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm being scammed or this or that. Like that's like a really crazy way milestone the technology has come, which is great. But yeah, people will use it for their own self-serving purposes sometimes. And have to be careful what to watch out for. I know that their platforms are starting to do little blurbs on the video made with AI or do you suspect AI? LinkedIn actually just came out with a button that it's instead of like interested, it says, is this AI slop or something? That's something new that's coming out to kind of deter that. I think that's great.
Thank you for bringing that up. But then the other side is that now, because the systems have evolved so well, especially with writing,
Mhm.
now some of us who enjoy writing are being tagged as having used AI for writing when we have not.
I
So
know.
I think we're going to see an uptick of getting reported for writing through AI when we have not. And it'll be interesting how this evolves. But the videos certainly have been problematic. And I don't know, do you have any tips how we can kind of at a glance or a
Oh.
tell are these legitimate? What can we do if we are concerned about it? Is it better just to over report and let
Mhm.
the platform sort it out? What are some guidelines that you can share?
I think for me, and I'm not an expert on video things, I'm work more with the language and text. But I would say with AI videos, I personally can kind of tell when the audio is there's like this strangeness to the audio. It feels a little filtered. And then I think if it is like a scam or like they're trying to sell you something or it's sketchy, I have just really honestly ignored it and just moved on with my day. But I think if you feel inclined to report it, go ahead and report it. If you feel this is really messed up and wrong, tell the platform people about it. But otherwise, I just ignore the slop at this point. I know that's probably not a good practice, but
and really, just from someone who enjoys creating with their hands, one of a kind items, I will say as a maker, if you see someone who is saying, I make these items, leather items, handmade items, crocheted items by hand, and they are extremely inexpensive when you know it should have been hours and hours of work. It's too good to be true. The old adage, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
It probably
So
is.
it probably is. So I would say probably lean on reporting it. And if you start seeing the different characters with the same video format, probably fake. Probably fake. But it's only going to get better and better as far as the quality. So it's probably going to get trickier to be able to detect it. But well, you just got to be mindful of that. There are things that we've kind of alluded to it already that AI cannot conquer. And it's the in-person, the creativity, the actual new ideas, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm saying possibly because I'm unsure at this point. Vanna, thoughts? I'm unsure at this point. Reassure me? I'm not sure.
They are new ideas. I don't think that AI or technology or a computer can replace a person at all. I think anything a computer knows or can learn, it knows from a human. Really, AI is a bunch of math at its core. It's math and it's doing its best to guess what it is you want it to say. It's not thinking, really. It doesn't have like a creative spirit to it. So no, I don't think it can replace creativity. I would say too, it's really a shame for artists and creators that do have, are trying to sell their art and have to now compete with these fake AI videos and companies trying to scam people. I follow a lot of different artists and creators, and I have friends who are, and their content, it's so different from anything that I've seen an AI create or produce. There's magic in it versus just plain kind of what you would polished things. Most creators that I follow actually show you the process of their work as well. So I think there's a process to things that can take days and real human manual work that AI can, I guess, do in minutes. And I think you can tell. I can even tell with writing now. And I think a lot of people are telling in writing, oh, this was definitely written by AI. The first thing was, M dashes. People noticed, oh, AI written with it. Now I think writers are kind of fighting back on that. And they're saying, we're taking back the M dash. Like, you cannot have that. It is a real, tool that we can use that does not mean it's written by AI. There's definitely a cadence that AI will follow. And yeah, there's points sometimes where I'm reading something or I'm like, okay, this was definitely written by a model and was not reviewed by a person at all. I think as long as you're reviewing your content, your draft content, and this is going for anyone, I think it's kind of silly to hold the standard that you should not use AI to help you write at all. I think it's a great tool to help you draft, and especially if you're not a writer or you don't like writing, it's given those people a voice now. Because some people don't like writing because it's hard for them to get their ideas out and to put it together like that. I think people can learn how to be good writers using it too.
That is true. Well, for the record, I'm more of a semicolon and ellipsis girl.
Same.
So that'll be the next wave. And then I don't know what I will do. I will just have no punctuation. Everything will be lowercase.
Yeah.
And then that'll be the next wave. And then we'll revert. And I don't know what I will do then. It'll just be some new alphabet of sorts that we will develop,
Yeah.
and that's also been done before. And things are cyclical, is my point. And that was how we began this conversation, right? Because you said old creative argument in new clothes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that should reassure us that a lot of these conversations we're having are not new. They're new about this technology, but they're not new in the history of humankind.
Yes. But
And we've gone through it. We've gone through it as humanity, as societies, and we've overcome, and we are still here. And I've not seen all the Terminator movies in all of those sci-fi movies, but I think we still overcome even in those.
we
When
do.
there's even in those we overcome. And even though we're able to overcome in our society, we still have the here, the now that we need to deal with. And right now, the way that the economy is and layoffs, especially AI getting blamed for some of it, there is some fear. What is the truth in that? What is not? What are some of your general thoughts about, AI workforce issues? All of that. Just take it, whatever that means to you.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I listened this week to an episode of the New York Times has a podcast called The Daily. And the episode was about how AI is changing the economy. And they had a point in there that some of the layoffs that are being blamed on AI maybe aren't because of AI. Truly, they talk about there's this incentive for businesses to adopt AI and get everyone in the company using AI and things like that. So yeah, they're getting funding for this endeavor. And then these mass layoffs happen and they're like, well, AI just made us so productive. And, I think that's an easier explanation than maybe saying, oh, like we overhired a couple of years ago and now we have to let all these people go. And I'm thinking too, if we're laying all these people off, has the company actually put in any sort of coherent paths for their employees to learn how to use the AI tools so that they can be more valuable? My guess is probably not. Organizations, I don't feel like have that in place. It's just so rapid that we can't keep up. We can't keep up with code review and software engineering. We can't keep up with how we are helping actual people use these tools because, to be honest, I think not a lot of us know exactly what we should be using them for just yet. And I think that over time, it might reveal which companies value the people doing the work versus just letting them go and not giving them any sort of guidance or tools to be better at their job.
Yes. And once again, age-old problem of shifting the blame on something that's easier versus actually owning why we're taking an action and maybe not having the foresight to train and develop in a way that makes sense for the person to be successful, which is not a new situation, unfortunately. And it is the employee that gets caught in that situation because not only do they not have the team members there that were there supporting before, now they still maybe have the same level of work that they have to without the team members that were there before, having to learn a new technology, not having the resources or the governance or the instructions or parameters in place or clarity around their responsibilities, and maybe even double the work. Sounds great.
That sounds so good, right? Yes. I think jobs will probably, like the roles will be redefined, maybe, I guess. They have to be potentially. And I don't think it's fair then to the workers who are having their jobs redefined. They don't really have a say over that. All the power is with the employer who are like, well, if you can't use this technology, you're going to have to either learn or get with it or get out of here or something. So they don't have the tools to like, well, I would love to help you redesign my job, but I don't have the tool. I don't know how to use this thing. But that's why people in my realm exist, where we're trying our best to kind of see these perspectives and amplify these voices so that we can all understand technology in a better way and create a positive impact on society rather than questionable ones.
Yes, that is so important. And upskilling, yes. Upskilling is the responsibility of both, of the leadership in an organization. And definitely it is on the person to take that up and, run with it. But we do have to supply the opportunity to the person, because if we're putting them in that position,
Yeah.
we need to give them an opportunity to be able to have some sort of resources to do it. So it is good that someone like you is available to do that. So how do you do that, to the extent that you can share a little bit more about what you do in your role on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. I have like a grassroots approach to things. When I write about them, I want to learn everything. I want to go back to the history. I want to build with the thing myself. I want to understand who cares about it and who's using it. And I want to also amplify the voices of the researchers and the scientists and the engineers who actually care about people, who care about what they're building, and helping, I guess, bridge that gap and cutting through the hype language. We hear a lot of marketing language where AI is the solution to all your problems and this and that. But like, what is the solution? What's the problem? I think just being in a position where I am able to have that perspective and then write and create resources. And then also within the organization that I work in, we're all very open. We're always in research. We're never trying to oversell something that we know isn't going to help people.
That's important. It sounds like you have a good team. That's always nice to hear. It's interesting times to definitely be living in.
Absolutely.
Makes me wonder what'll be. And I would love to say years, but 6 months. Wonder what
6 months. What do we
maybe we
have?
need to do a follow-up. We'll have to do a follow-up. What it'll be like in 6 months. In 2027, what it will be like, where we'll be at with this, specifically how we've evolved, the impacts on the workplace, in the upskilling of the workforce specifically. Has it affected unemployment as much as it has so far? Have we rehired people back because it hasn't worked out like we thought it would? Have we had more displacement blamed on AI or not? All these implications are just so interesting to me. But in the end, can't make my ornaments.
Right.
Can't write my original poetry. Can't write your articles. We still need to critically think about what we're doing and not take it at face value.
Yes.
But it can help.
Yes.
It can help. It can assist. But don't give it all.
Yeah. It does not take away your human judgment.
And nothing should.
No, it shouldn't. Yeah. It's your autonomy, your choices and decisions. It can't take that. And that's why it's also important to verify and check before you use something made by AI, because you don't want to accidentally say something that you don't mean or that you don't actually believe. And AI will just say whatever based on the information that it was trained on, which is various texts from the internet. From all over. So imagine that.
Yes, we're not giving up. Even again in the sci-fi movies, it's a fight to keep our autonomy, our agency, our freedom, our collective voice.
Yes.
And that is what we're doing. We just collaborate. It is a collaboration, utilizing this as a resource, as a tool appropriately, doing it with our critical thinking hat on, and keeping our human side. And that is how it's meant, and that is the intent. I really do believe that. Will there be mistakes along the way? Sure, because we're human, and that is what happens.
Exactly.
But I do believe that, and I think along the way, things will get settled. We got to get beyond the noise.
Yep.
And step by step, we get to decide, how do we utilize this? For me, if you want to see pictures of my dog with funny outfits that are created through AI, I think that's less impact on the environment than me buying the real outfit. That's the extent of his funny outfits. I don't know. I haven't asked ChatGPT if that's the case. Maybe
Yeah,
I
it's a
should
good
do
question.
that.
Yeah.
Comment if you want to see a picture of my dog with one of his funny outfits. We get to make that choice. How do we want to utilize it?
Mhm.
But have a skeptical outlook on what you're getting back.
Yes.
And, take it slow. You don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
If you want to upskill, then have that conversation with your leadership. Okay, you want me to use this tool. This is also what I need to become proficient in it. And then look at resources. If you want to learn more about some of your writings and some of your blogs, I definitely want you to tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us what those are. And I'll also drop the links in the show notes. But tell us where folks can find your blogs.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah. I host them on my personal website, which is vwinland@github.io, because it's my personal website that I deploy through there. And then I syndicate that on other platforms that I think that they might land with the audience. So far, that is on Hacker Noon, which is a open kind of technology publishing community, which is really awesome. You can find me on there as well. You can actually sign up to get on my newsletter list there. So every time I publish something, you'll get email. And then also I publish on IBM Think. I have an author profile through there. I post really, that's more for enterprise use cases, but yeah, still good, really great resources there. In LinkedIn, if you want to find my writing or message me or say hello, LinkedIn is probably the best place where I'll see it.
Well, that is excellent. I've appreciated this conversation so much. This way with people is still the real thing. We are real.
Yes.
No funny outfits here today. We are real people connecting. Connect with Vanna. Sign up for her newsletter feed if you want to follow her on LinkedIn. I'll have all those links that she mentioned in the show notes. And maybe we will have a follow-up in 6 months or so if you're game.
Absolutely.
We don't know what's going to be happening here in 6 months. Things move so quickly. But thanks so much, Vanna, for joining today. And
Thank
as
you.
always, please follow, like, hype, subscribe. Until next time, this is HR Office Hours. We'll see you.